Uh, DeAndre Hopkins clearly gone from Houston, and people still want to pin it on Bill O'Brien. I went back and found the quotes yesterday from the owner, Cal McNair. He signed off on it. They didn't want to pay DeAndre Hopkins, period. And that's what happens sometimes when you don't want to pay a guy. Teams get caught up in this. You have a contract. You're under contract for 3 more years. You must honor your contract. Well, if the guy's not happy and he's going to agitate to the point where you feel like you have to trade him, maybe you should have just paid him and made him happy. It doesn't matter that you have a contract that gives you favorable terms. Your guy has to also be happy. And now, Chris, he's happy.
Yeah.
He's in Arizona, and it's worked well, and the Cardinals are 6-3, and they're in the hunt to win the division. And tonight's game, this is huge. Tonight. The winner's 7-3 and in first place, pending the result of the Monday Night Football game with the Rams and the Buccaneers. The loser's 6-4, and all of a sudden looking at all the various permutations over the next 6 weeks to hope they even get in the playoffs.
It is huge. It really is. I mean, big in the NFC West, of course. Big in the discussion of home playoff game, whatever. I know there's not a big deal this year as far as like no fans or whatever, but of course you want that ability, and you want to have the highest ranking possible, because in a year like this, who knows how things play out. It doesn't, you could be the 4 seed and be hosting the NFC Championship game, or you can't. Not this year.
No, not the
Eagles.
4 seed.
Okay,
not
1, 2, and 3 might. 1, 2, and 3 might. You could any of those can host it, but yes, I mean. And these teams are so good and got to play each other so much here down the stretch too. They're in danger of all sitting here at 6-3, and who knows? One of them maybe not making the playoffs with the way their end of the years kind of shake out here. So this is a big football game, and I think it's extra big for Seattle. I mean, Seattle's lost 3 out of the last 4. I mean, this really is. They're reeling right now, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do tonight to kind of get back on track, Mike. What is it going to be? We know the defense has issues. I got some ideas on what I'd like to see more. And then offensively, are we going to get Carlos Hyde back? I know Chris Carson back, but they need a runner.
Chris Carson, unlikely to play. Carson, unlikely to play with a foot injury. Tyler Lockett missed a lot of practice this week with a knee. He's expected to play. I think Hyde is good to go.
Good to go, right?
But no Chris Carson.
I would think just between the things we heard from Pete Carroll after the game Monday, all those things, talking about Russell Wilson and all of that, to me, the look looked like, hey, Russell's great. We're going to let him cook, but we're going to give the appetizer to the running back a little bit. We're not going to let him cook the whole meal. I think he's got to be going crazy a little bit, probably wants to run the ball. I think you're going to see a little of that tonight, and that to me would be the big thing of the game. If they can't run the ball, they're not going to beat the Cardinals. They're not. The Cardinals have some pass defense, and they got some little setup of personnel and players that I think, like we saw late in that game when they finally figured out how they wanted to attack Seattle the first time around, where they have these sets when they get you in third down. There's no linemen on the field. It's all these fast linebackers. You and I have talked about their secondary is very talented. And Vance Joseph's been doing some cool things coaching them to where I think they'll really give Seattle issues. If it just becomes, hey, let Russ cook, we're going to throw it all game long, I think that'll set them up to lose the football game if that's the case.
Vance Joseph finally having the time of his life as the Cardinals
kicking
defensive
butt
coordinator. You didn't get the reference.
No.
That was the first game where they shut down DK Metcalf.
Exactly.
Too. And in this chess match that you've only had a few days to prepare for, it's going to be fascinating to see whether or not they have plays where they can get the ball in DK Metcalf's hands. Does Russell Wilson force it into coverage? Russell Wilson very conscious he has to be with the turnovers in recent weeks.
Definitely.
This is a tough one for the Seahawks, and they were up big in the first half of the first game.
They were.
And I think that the model for tonight, it's easier said than done. Get an early lead and then grind it, keep Kyler Murray on the sideline. I mean, that offense has gotten to the point where the best way to defend it is keep it off the field, Chris.
Definitely. And definitely the way the Seahawks are playing. That has to start being a part of their mantra. Get the lead, and, they got to find some way to, chew up clock. And within that, too, with the whole DK Metcalf thing, and we've talked all that, hey, they got to find ways to give him the ball more. They just do. There's not enough for me where I watch Russell Wilson as compared to some other quarterbacks and other great offenses. Russell gets no easy completions. That's one thing I'll say. Yeah, he's got some turnovers, and they're asking a lot of them, as we know. But running back screens, wide receiver screens, I don't even have to think about it. The coach told me to throw to this guy from the game plan, and there it is. And there's a lot of other quarterbacks that get that. Russell does not, and I think that's an important part they need to figure out, too, just to bring people up into their short passing game so then they can start bombing people deep once again.
Another important point as well, and this goes directly to the guy whose jersey you're wearing. I don't know how differently we'd feel about this game if they don't connect on the Hail Mary on Sunday, but they did.
Yeah.
And I think that gives the Cardinals, the fact that they pulled that off, that gives the organization a collective boost, and it also puts the opponent this week, next week, and the week beyond almost not, I don't want to say in awe, but it creates a shine around the Cardinals that I think becomes very real. They're no longer the Cardinals.
No, they're not.
They are an up-and-coming, oh, crap, they're going to find a way to beat his team, and I think that mentality can kind of take over late in the game.
I agree. They got a coach that's fearless. They got playmakers on both sides of the ball. And as we always talk about, they got a special quarterback, right? And when you win some games and you got that kind of guy, everybody in the locker room starts to think, man, we can't be beat. We'll find a way to win or be competitive.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.